Hey skiers, it's Bob with SkiEssentials.com. Welcome to our 2026 ski test. Got a K2 Mindbender 106C here for you today. This ski returns structurally unchanged from last year. We do get a new graphic, and this kind of returns as a really fun mid-100s freeride ski. The Mindbender line is interesting because it kind of blends all mountain and freeride. You could certainly refer to their Reckoner line as the more traditionally freeride or freestyle oriented, while Mindbender is more directional. But as they get wider, they start to kind of blur that line, and I think this 106C is a good example of that, as bringing in snippets of all mountain performance, but largely this ski works well in softer snow, more adverse conditions and terrain. And in terms of skier type, I think it's somebody that kind of knows what they're looking for in a ski. They don't want to be caught off guard by anything. They want something consistent and predictable and pure when it comes to being able to deliver soft snow performance. This thing is built with an aspen wood core. We do get K2's carbon spectral braid as well as a flax laminate in here, a unidirectional flax. The carbon spectral braid, though, is more kind of the main part of the substance of the core, because it does alter the flex of the ski from tip to tail. They put a tighter carbon weave in the shovel, and then it gets progressively longer as you get through the tail, and that kind of alters the way these skis flex and kind of speaks to the more directional nature of the Mindbender series. More kind of torsional stiffness in the shovel, so less likely to twist, and also delivers more flex this way, so more fore-aft flex in the shovel. And then in the tail we see quite the opposite, where those stringers are straighter and more longitudinal. That gives the ski more of a twisting and pivoting feel in the tail, while it still remains pretty supportive from a flex standpoint. This really allows you to steer the ski really well. If you think about how Reckoner has kind of the opposite, with a tighter cross hatching in the middle and then longer in the tips and tails, they're really making both tips and tails more flexible and capable of twisting. But this Mindbender puts more emphasis on edge engagement in the shovel. So when you're getting into kind of, if you're mixing on and off, you still want a little bit more of a direct contact, and that's where the carbon spectral braid really comes in handy on this ski here. We're on the scale. This is the 176. We're at 1,928 grams. So closing in on 2,000 grams, certainly a volume component here. Anytime that you're putting 106 millimeters underfoot in the ski and having a wider bodied format throughout, there's just more material. So even though it's closing in on 2,000 grams, the flex makes it, and the flex and the shape really make it feel like a lighter and more mobile ski. As soon as we get to this 106 shape, we're starting to see more drama in the rocker profile, especially compared to the 96C, which is the narrower version here. So not as much positive camber underfoot. Flatter to the ground makes this ski smearier and driftier. And then we see quite a bit of rocker in both tips and tails, starting way down here and leading to some pretty good splay there. We also see an increase in taper, so the widest part of the ski is brought well down into the forebody of the ski here, making it just extremely mobile, surfy, and smeary in softer snow. We found that to be extraordinarily useful in the trees on a snowy day, where this thing is just eats it up. It loves snowy woods. Long tail rocker as well. And then we see kind of the taper in the tail here, I'd say, is one of the better stories, because it does lead to a thinner end of the ski, and that really allows this thing to surf, brings about a lot of surfboard and boat-like characters, other things that float really well, because it's able to act like a rudder. So this tail just really helps you steer through deeper snow and in the woods. So pretty dramatic rocker profile there. And then we also see a slightly longer turn radius, 17.3 meters. As opposed to the other Mindbenders, which they kind of like their radius, this one can be opened up a little bit more because of the flatter profile and longer rocker. If you're dealing with less rocker, more camber, and less taper, the skis are more likely to want to adhere to that radius. These you can kind of let run a little bit, which is pretty fun. But they're also extremely capable of making shorter turns. I found them to be pretty rewarding on a groomer, even though groomer skiing is probably not what most people have in mind when they're shopping for 106s. But there's no denying that if you're on a softer set of corduroy, pack powder, anything like that, they're really fun to get up on a high edge angle and feel that flex and access the entirety of that side cut. So as long as you're not on ice, they carve pretty well. But yeah, really fun, free ride ski for some tighter woods. It's tough to deny that this is one of the better wood skis out there, and works really well in powder, crud, broken snow, wind-blown snow, anything that is multi-dimensional in nature. The Mindbender 106C works really well and is not overly demanding. It's a pretty friendly ski. So if you're shopping for kind of your first wider bodied ski and you're not sure kind of how burly you want to go, this is a good place to start because it does represent the middle quite well. It can kind of punch above its level, but it's also friendly enough if you're just kind of starting your off-piste skiing career. It's certainly amenable to that as well. So that's it. Great ski. Make sure you check these things out here at SkiEssentials.com, and we will see you out there on the hill. Bye.